I will say I'm still relatively disappointed with what they did for Syril in Arc 1 of this season, but
yeah,
2 and 3...
The stuff with his mom is a bit cringe.
It's not like it's useless. I wanted way more of what was going on career end for Syril, but obviously we got a heavy amount of that in Arc 2 and 3, thankfully. So he's been, to explain the dynamic here, the Empire want to destroy Gorman as a result of mining a particular ore. And they can't just do that. That would be very bad, politically speaking, especially when they don't have unilateral power, which they're getting to, which is kind of what this whole series is leading to. So until then, they need to construct a web of lies, if you will, on this spider-ridden planet, where they're going to have to facilitate the result through a bunch of other means. And there's a discussion in Arc 1 of how they're going to lay that out over time. And so Dedra's aware of the plan, Partagaz is, the ISB are controlling this whole operation for the most part, and it's going to construct it in such a way that we will agitate the locals until forcing them, or encouraging them rather, to cause enough of a scene that they can take absolute control over the planet. That seems to be the Empire's plan. That's like the simplest way to put it. Cyril's job, as described, is that he needs to root out like enemy influences, like the rebels, like Andor, like whoever, who might be convincing the members of Gorman to, react in bad ways. And that's awful. The Gorman people, we like them somewhat. We can't let the rebels, convince them to agitate and go nuts and stuff. We've got to stop that. So we see in Arc 2 that Cyril's working to infiltrate and understand the Gorman rebellion and then, make use of that by feeding information. And he, by the end of it, has watched them actually operate a full, attempt to sabotage and steal. So he thinks he's, well on the road. And this is, as was mentioned in Arc 2, the best time in his life. He's finally sort of come through. He's always wanted to serve the Empire in a positive way and crush out, the bad elements of the world and come through in a just and loyal way, protecting the innocent. And so, this whole job he's been conducting, it's all working pretty well. But as you see, more time goes on, more little things just keep popping up to him as strange. And Dedra's not explaining to him. There's other elements of this that don't make sense at all. And one of the things that happens in this episode is all of this is coming to a head. Like a grenade is about to go off with all of this stuff in the plaza. And one of the last conversations he has with her, she basically says, pack your things and prepare to leave. You need to not be here. He's just like, what? Why? What the fuck is going on? And it's just don't worry about it. We're going to get promoted. We're going to get rewards. And we're going back to Coruscant. It's going to be great. And you start to realize, and I think the show can sort of convince the audience to slip into this, Cyril's not doing this for, strict career rewards. He believes in it. Mm-hmm. So my job here...
he believes he's the good guy. He believes he's doing the right thing and he's serving a just cause. And, that's the moment where it finally falls apart for him and he realizes, oh, shit, we're not serving a just cause. The people we are fighting and potentially dying for are not good people. This has all been a sham. It's all a manipulation, and I've been part of it, and I've helped to make
promotions,
this happen.
Though.
Well, and I just love the way they do it by degrees, right? Because he's inspecting more and more. He starts hearing sort of rhetoric that continue from not only the people in charge, but also all the journalists. It's like everyone's saying the exact same thing, the rumor thing. It starts to really get on his nerves. He's like, why is everyone saying nothing, really? And then he's...
Well, yeah, remember when he's going into the headquarters and he can see the Imperial sort of news anchor talking about insurgency and increasing tensions from tensions and increased attacks, and it's they're not doing any of this.
Yeah, he's getting
the
more
Empire
and more,
ramping up, but
more and more disturbed.
Yeah.
And, and then they have him wait because he wants to speak to Dedra. He needs to go over what the fuck is going on, and they put him in a room where he spots 6, I think it might even be 8 of those security droids that are just waiting. Yeah. And those are bulky, buff boys. They're basically planted ready. And it's just what the fuck are these doing here? And, if you haven't already figured out what's going on, he eventually does. And he barges in to speak to old Dedra. All right, and you're going to have to... Here we go.
This scene, man, is just... And this is in the midst of everything else about to kick off. It's incredible.
Oh, there you go.
What are we doing here?
Following orders.
How long have you known about all this? How long?
We can discuss
this is like, compare this Syril, right, to the guy who was, this is like, now that his values are under threat, like now that he actually, what he's believed in his whole life is crumbling, this is the moment where he snaps, right? And this is, compare this to the guy who was like just putty in her hands, like when his mother was over. Yeah, and just like kind of just did whatever she said. And it's like, because he believed in her, he believed in what he was doing, he believed in the life that he was living. Now he realizes it's a lie, and holy shit, does this man snap.
He's kind of gone on like the opposite arc for Andor. You know, when you pick up with Andor, one of the first things Andor does is that act of violence when he's accosted in the streets in season 1. And Andor goes from being kind of without belief and sort of having recourse to violence solely to protect himself because he doesn't have a grander thing to fight for. Over time, gains that cause, gains something approaching belief, which he's not even now actually fully bought into, but obviously is heading in that direction. Syril goes in the opposite direction. Syril goes from being the guy who fully believes in the rightness of the system that he serves. Even for like his first introduction in season 1, he's the one who insists that everybody does their jobs properly because it's the right thing to do. And even, as this Balder has been laying out, gets to this planet and believes that he's trying to lure rebels in to expose them for the good of the Empire, only to discover in this moment that he's not done any such thing. Like the planet that he thought he was serving and the Empire he thought he was serving are basically at odds with each other. And he's been manipulated just as everybody else has been into creating a trap for the people that he thought he was trying to protect.
Yep. That he's come to know over these this time, right? We've had 2-year jumps, so there's every reasonable chance he's got some level of understanding or respect for the Gorman people and wants this.
He's
to be
been
solved.
a year building that.
Because he's not a man who lacks compassion or empathy for other people. Like that's kind of what he's about.
Why this scene like sort of sparks off immediately as well is the huge contrast for both of these people. He is quite submissive, and like to see him so aggressively do this, and then not only just in general, but to her, who in every single scene has been confident, aggressive, cold, and she's got like an exterior that never gets broken, and she's immediately terrified here. Like it's already too much for her. She doesn't know what's happening.
Well, this is like the perfect comment. Did they lock Kathleen and Kennedy in a basement when they filmed this because she hates this sort of like exactly. Because like this is essentially a bigger, stronger man exerting physical force over a woman and terrifying her because he's so fucking infuriated.
Well, yeah, that was definitely one of the elements for me. I was surprised they got away with this scene considering what happens in it.
Evil.
Yeah, do you want to play a bit more?
It's too late already.
Please.
You're going to tell me what this has really been about?
You're hurting me.
And you are going to tell me what the mining ships are doing here.
They're not.
There is an armada up there. They're already unloading in Gelnovi and Liqua. You couldn't even wait.
Pause it just for a sec. For no particular reason, but it's just to avoid like getting completely screwed over by copyright.
Good relationship.
If anyone tunes in at this moment, like of open bar, they'd be like, "Wow, what are these guys watching?" Some of this.
What's so interesting to watch happen is that he had all the information he needed for a while, but it's only now that he's letting it all flow together, and he's not letting the lies stay up anymore. Right? That's what's. Because even she's, all that shit about rumors and stuff, they've all given him some really shit lies up to this point, and he's just had enough.
Him and Andor are parallel characters where Andor gets more and more confident and secure in what he believes, and obviously for the Alliance, where he starts out super secure and just gets more and more to like, what are we doing to this scene where it all starts?
Yeah.
And even then, like, we've complained a little bit about the first arc of this season, and I still would say that could have been tightened up significantly. But even then, like the stuff in there that does take too long to get to the point still has a point, right? The part of the point of that dinner scene with the mother and with Dedra at the beginning of that arc is to show that she is like the most powerful person in his life. It used to be his mother because like she is the domineering, almost like the stereotypical Jewish mother who always wants like her son to do better and better and better and better. And Dedra comes along and completely supplants her in order to set her up as the epitome of power in his domestic affairs. And now he's been reduced to this point. So it's not only his belief in the Empire that's crumbled into dust, but it's also, his faith in the woman that he thought was basically his wife and the person that he trusted above everything else. And it's been reduced to this.
Yeah.
You tell me it's a rumor and I will throw you out that window. What have we been doing here?
There's a stone. Something in the dirt here. They need it. It's the energy program. It's directly from the Emperor. It's something they can't do without. They need the planet.
And that's it. That's your
Love how
admission
much
right
her
there.
walls have been broken down. First, earlier talking to Pendergast, she's all shaky and twitchy, and there to this where she's got nothing. There's no hiding.
Well, I mean, he made it very clear. It's like, if you even try to bullshit me with this stuff, like, I'm going to straight up throw you through a window.
I didn't think he had it in him.
I know. Well, this is it. But like, this is the fascinating aspect of his character, where they are willing to give him nuance and depth and facets to his personality. And if you push a person in the right way, they will snap. Even the meekest, most timid person you'll ever meet, you find that right thing that's important to them, then they're going to snap, and that's his thing.
And there's the wonderful contrast as well with Dedra herself, because you see there's a couple of scenes in there where, because she's in on this plan from the beginning and he isn't, so she has to lie to him all the way through this. And there's a couple of scenes where even Partagaz points out that she seems on edge, and you're sort of thinking, is she gonna confess? Is she gonna own up to it? Is she gonna turn like traitor on them because she loves him too much? And the fact that she doesn't, and she still, even after he leaves, she says to the troops, "Go get him back." She doesn't realize what she's done in a way. She doesn't realize it's over. And like, what is done now can't be undone. And that contrast in their two characters, the absolute true believer versus the one whose true belief has just been shattered, is also just really, really well drawn.
But I did warm to her character a lot more in this episode, because you can see all throughout the episode as the build-up happens, as the troops begin to move in, as the machinery starts to grind towards this massacre. Like, she's not into this. She doesn't want this to happen. And you can see the hesitancy. You can see the weight that's settling on her.
If you remember in Arc, I think it was Arc 1, it was discussed, like, her passion is Axis. She wants to, with, clever sorting out of all these details, capture a little rat that's running through the entire system that she's on the trail of, versus organize and, execute the Gorman project is not something she really wanted.
Yeah. Well, doesn't she shed a tear as well once the shooting starts?
I was going to say I'd have to rewatch to get the specific details, but obviously they make it very clear she's not comfortable with most of this, and certainly not after Syril's fate as well.
Yeah.
Which is bold to give a scene to show an explicit bad guy mourning. It's you don't get that in a lot of more cartoony stuff.
Yeah.
Do I continue, or do you want to show something else?
Maybe just give the end of the scene, because I do like the way it ends as well.
How long have you known this?
We're going home, Syril. We're going home as heroes. This began long before we got here. They've been planning it for years.
I love how she says this like it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Trying to make it seem like comfortable, happy, like awesome news, and it's just devastating to him.
It kind of had echoes, and I just realized it too. And forgive me for comparing it to the prequels, but of Anakin trying to tell Padme, it's great, I can overthrow the Chancellor. It's like, no, that's not selling me. That's not a good thing. You're deluded.
Well, it's half that. This is the stuff that convinces her, right? Like, those career opportunities are things that are going to push her up. And she, I think, believes at this point that is somewhat tempting. She does have a final gambit here with that.
This is her moment of realizing, like, oh shit, the guy that I thought I understood, I don't. Like, the things I thought I could tempt him with and win him over with, they don't apply to him. Really, it wasn't about that. I fundamentally misunderstood who this guy was. And it all comes to the fore in this moment.
Yeah, I'd say it's very clear that the promotions or opportunities that Syril enjoys, like, they need to be attached to a sense of pride about the work he's managed to do. Yeah. It's important to him.
They're doing this no matter what. We wanted to be together. You didn't seem to mind the promotions.
Look at that. Like, she's waiting for a reaction from him, and she's not getting it. And she's just like, oh fuck, what have I done? Yeah. I've just run into a sheer brick wall of like nothing.
Well, if you just track the way she made her arguments, right? Like all these great things we're gonna get, and then actually the work itself, heroes, all these different things, and then finally like a desperation of you fucking benefited, and it's just like not working. None of this is working.
Yeah,
and I think she's coming to realize the kind of man she's dealing with here.
Good luck, Dedra. Him realizing what kind of woman he has been dealing with. How long have you known? Like, hits on a couple different levels.
All of the like a kind of interpersonal drama like this, like mixed in with essentially like a galaxy redefining genocide taking place outside, and having it all work. And having it all, like, none of the things that are going on here feel like they're competing with each other, or like, oh god, I can't believe I've got to suffer through this shitty little subplot while I wait for the more interesting things to come along. Every single component of it works perfectly together.
Yeah,
I love this episode.
And it works with everything that comes afterwards. So, like, I think it's mentioned before, but by the end of this episode, you're sort of leading to the part where, just to explain basically a single line that Tarkin offers in episode 4 when he talks about the Emperor dissolving the Senate forever. This is all the setup for that. This is the galaxy moving to that position. It's the final warning Mon Mothma gives in her speech, is that Palpatine is like the beast who will come for us all because we've given up on the values of truth and objectivity. This entire arc is kind of teasing and feeding into the setup beats for A New Hope. It's almost seamless the way that it does that. So it's all completely integral to like the broader question of the Star Wars galaxy and the world building therein.
Well, and it's hard not to see it. We need 3 more episodes, but Andor season 1 and 2 plus Rogue One equals like the process of the Empire taking full stranglehold of the universe and the small glimmer of hope they've got to destroy the Death Star by the end. Like, and then that leads into the OT where we watched it happen.